Other Paths to Glory, adapted for radio by Alison Plowden from the novel by Anthony Price, with Tony Britton as Dr. Audley and Martin Jarvis as Paul Mitchell.
Mr. Mitchell?
You are Mr. Paul Mitchell?
I'm Mitchell, yes. What do you want?
If you could spare us a few moments, Mr. Mitchell, I'd be grateful. My name is Audley, and this is Colonel Butler. The Imperial War Museum people said we'd find you in the Great War Documents Room. We think you may be able to help with a little problem we have.
The museum?
That's right. Mr. Crombie there told us where to find you.
Yes, I know Alex Crombie.
He said you were an expert on the 1418 war.
Well, hardly an expert.
But you are writing a book on it.
On one piece of it, yes. I'm gathering material for a book, that is.
Just so. Well, you see, our little problem relates to your war, Mr. Mitchell. We rather hoped you might be able to tell us something about this. And if you can't identify it, then perhaps you know...
Oh, I can identify it. It's a piece of German trench map. Central Somme, October 1916. The railway track is the Albert-Bapaume line. The stream beside it is the Ancre. And those trenches at the top lead to Thiepval, if I remember correctly.
You know the actual map?
Well, I've seen it, certainly. The Somme isn't my special field, but I've done some work there in the past.
While you were Professor Emerson's researcher?
How did you know that?
They told us at the War Museum. And I rather think I know your old tutor at Cambridge, Archie Forbes.
Yes. Yes, he was my tutor. Are you at Cambridge, then?
Not at the moment. Now, about this map, have you a copy of it here?
Well, there may be one somewhere, but your best bet would be the museum.
Yeah. What can you tell us about it in the meantime?
Oh, it depends what you want to know. We lost one hell of a lot of men trying to take this bit of ground. This is just about where the Ulstermen attacked on July the 1st. Or maybe they were a little bit to the north.
Is this anywhere near Beaumont-Hamel?
Not very far. But then nowhere's very far from anywhere on the Somme. It's quite a small battlefield. You can walk from one end to the other in a day. Why? Do you know Beaumont-Hamel?
My father was there on July 1st. He was with the North East Lancashires.
Of the Royal Lancs?
They never got past the wire.
No.
So, there's nothing very special about the map. It's not a rarity.
Well, not a rarity, no. I'd say more of a curiosity. But if you really want to know every last detail, you should talk to Professor Emerson. He's your man for the Somme. He's only just come back from there, as a matter of fact.
From the Somme? He's been over there recently?
Well, this is the best time of year to see the ground after the autumn ploughing. Why are you so interested in the Somme, Mr. Audley?
I'm not writing a book about it, don't worry.
I'm not worrying, but I'd still like to know what you're doing. And who you are, come to that.
Let's just say I'm someone with a piece of German trench map, shall we?
This professor of yours, Emerson, where would he be at the moment?
No, what's all this about?
You say Professor Emerson's the expert on the Somme. Is he at home?
You tell me why it's so important, and I'll tell you where he is.
Oh, we can find out easily enough. You'd just be saving us time, that's all.
You sound like a policeman, Colonel.
Perhaps I am one, Mr. Mitchell.
But you don't intend to tell me?
Our business is official, not personal. Will that do?
His phone number's Farley Green, 21242.
You mean he's at home now? You're sure?
He was at home this morning. He said he was going to work there all day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mitchell. You've been most helpful.
I'm most grateful to you, Mr. Mitchell. And we'll try not to bother you like this again.
Number, please.
Yes, can you get me Farley Green, 21242, please?
I'll call you back, sir.
All right, thank you. Now, let's see. Yes?
Your call, Mr. Mitchell. There's no answer. It sounds as though the phone's out of order. The line's dead as a doornail.
No. Well, very well, then. I'll try again when I get home tonight.
Mr. Mitchell?
What? Who is it?
It is Mr. Paul Mitchell, isn't it?
Yes, but I don't understand.
No!
Paul! Oh, Paul, thank God.
Now, Mother, it's all right. I simply fell in the river.
Oh, my
There's
darling,
nothing to worry
yes,
about.
of course you did. You just fell in the river.
You say you fell in the river, son?
That's right, officer. It was all a mistake, you see. My son's just had an accident.
What's going on? Mother, what's happened?
Now, darling, you're soaking wet and you'll catch your death if you don't get these clothes off. So you run upstairs and pop into a nice hot bath.
Just a minute. I don't understand what the police are doing here. Can you kindly tell me what's been going on?
Well, I was hoping you'd tell me that, sir.
Paul, darling.
What do you mean I'd tell you? Tell you what?
You said you'd fallen in the river.
Yes, well, that wasn't true, I'm afraid. I didn't want to frighten my mother.
Ah.
What would you say if I told you that actually 2 men tried to kill me just now as I was walking home? They grabbed me on the bridge over Godsey Weir and threw me in.
Did they, sir? Then you're lucky not to have been drowned. That weir's a very dangerous place.
Yes, but I was lucky, you see. I got caught under the bridge. They threw me in next to one of the gates that was lowered, and the current pushed me to one side where there's hardly any water coming through. I managed to climb back onto the bridge from underneath.
Paul, darling, you mustn't...
Just a minute, Mrs. Mitchell. Now, sir, can you describe these men?
Well, I only really saw one of them. I didn't see him properly in the dark.
Can you think of any reason why anyone would do such a thing?
No, I can't.
Neither can I, sir. And that's why we must have a straight talk, you and I.
Straight talk? What the devil do you mean?
Now, you just tell the truth, Mr. Mitchell, and everything will be all right. We're only here to help you, and that's what you need, isn't it? Help.
You're darned right I need help. Somebody has just tried to murder me.
Yes, sir, so you say. But in that case, perhaps you'd care to explain this.
What on earth? Dearest Mother, Professor Emerson told me today that it's no good my going on with my work. There are other people whose research is further advanced and much better than mine. I think I've known this for some time, but I managed to shut my eyes to it. Now it's no good pretending anymore. There's nothing left worth living for. Forgive me, Paul. But I didn't write this.
It is your signature, isn't it, sir?
It looks like my signature, only it isn't because I didn't write it. Look, I can't prove I didn't jump in the river, but I can damn well prove that this is a pack of lies. You ask Professor Emerson. He'll tell you my research is going fine. I was talking to him only this morning. Oh, what's the matter? Mother, why are you looking like that?
It was in tonight's paper, Paul. In the evening mail.
What was?
Then you haven't seen it?
Seen it? Seen what?
Professor Emerson's house was burnt down today. It was on the local news, on the radio, too. He died in the fire, Paul.
Oh, my God.
Oh, now who can that be? Oh, dear, I'd better go.
You say you were talking to Professor Emerson this morning, sir. What time would that be?
Oh, I went over on the early bus just before 9. I must have been with him about an hour. What's that got to do...
Paul, dear, there's a gentleman asking to see you. He's, a Dr...
Audley. You must forgive me for intruding again, Mr. Mitchell. Oh. Has there been some kind of accident?
No accident.
You're a doctor, sir?
Not of medicine. Here you are. Here's my card. Now, tell me what happened, Mr. Mitchell.
I met 2 men on the Weir footbridge. They knew my name, then they threw me into the Weir. Well, they tried to.
Tried to?
Well, they did. But I got stuck under the bridge where they couldn't see me.
And they thought you drowned?
I imagine so.
Could I speak to you privately, Dr. Audley?
I think you'd better, Constable...
Constable Bell, sir.
Perhaps we could use another room, Mrs. Mitchell, and your son could get into something dry.
Will you kindly tell me who you are, Dr. Audley, and what you're doing here?
Ministry of Defence, madam. Now, may I have your permission to use your telephone?
But...
Yes, the phone's in the sitting room, Dr. Audley. I'll show you the...
That won't be necessary, sir. We'll find our own way.
Paul, what's happening?
What's happening now, I haven't the least idea. Mother, did you really think I jumped in the river?
I didn't know what to think. There was that note.
Yes, how did you get it?
It was lying on the mat. Must have come through the letterbox. I saw it there when I came out to start your supper. darling, I'm sorry, but I didn't know what to do.
Poor old Mum. You aren't the only one.
Oh, you must get out of these clothes. I don't know if they'll ever be fit to wear again. Paul, what are we going to do?
We're going to see what our friend Dr. Audley's got to say first.
Then you really do know him?
As a matter of fact, I met him for the first time this afternoon, but don't ask me what he wanted, Mother, dear, because you wouldn't be able to make head nor tail of it. Now, just you go and make us some nice, hot, strong coffee while I get respectable. I think we're going to need it. Dr. Audley, why does someone want me dead?
You can't think of any reason?
No.
Then neither can I, yet.
You've seen my suicide note?
Oh, I have, yes. Most artistic. Now then, you got out of the river without anyone seeing you. You're sure of that?
I made sure the two bastards who threw me in weren't there, if that's what you mean.
But did anyone else see you as you were coming home?
I came in the back way across the allotments. I didn't see a soul. It's pretty dark there, too.
Good. So, this is what we do.
Mrs. Mitchell's residence. Who's speaking, please?
Who is it?
One moment, please, madam. It's Mrs. Tyler. She wants to speak to Mrs. Mitchell. She wants to know if there's any news of you, sir.
Oh, Lord. She's a friend of my mother. She's got a tongue like a cowbell. It'll be all over town by now that I've committed suicide.
It will? Give me that phone. Mrs. Tyler? Good evening, madam. I think it would be best for you not to speak to Mrs. Mitchell at the moment. I'm afraid so, madam. No, there's nothing I can tell you just yet. We're doing all we can. Yes, I will most certainly give her your message. Thank you, Mrs. Tyler. Yes, I will. Good night, madam.
Dr. Audley, would you kindly tell me what you're doing?
I'm protecting your son, Mrs. Mitchell, or trying to.
By telling lies?
Not only telling them, spreading them too, I hope. Don't look so sad, Mitchell. Mrs. Tyler's doing our work for us, and far more convincingly than we ever could.
Do you mean I'm supposed to be dead?
Now, let's say missing, presumed killed, as you might put it yourself.
God.
As long as your would-be murderers think you're still in the river, they're not going to worry, providing we can get you out of here as discreetly as you got in. Tell me about the Somme, Paul. May I call you Paul?
First, you tell me about Professor Emerson, Dr. Audley.
You think there is something to tell? Oh, there's a turning somewhere here. I don't want to miss... yes, there's the sign.
Well, isn't there? You didn't come back tonight just to ask me about the Somme.
Yes, you're quite right, of course.
He didn't die in the fire, did he, Dr. Audley?
It'll be easier if you call me David. No, he didn't. He was struck from behind and then arranged at the bottom of the stairs. The fire was started in his study among his papers. They thought it out quite neatly, really. Emerson upstairs, smelling the fire, maybe, then losing his footing and knocking himself out. It just might have worked.
But it didn't.
No. Someone spotted the blaze from the top of a double-decker bus that was passing. The fire brigade arrived before the fire had time to reach the body.
Do you think it was the same two men?
Not necessarily the same two, but the same guiding intelligence. Because whoever composed your little suicide note must have known your professor wasn't going to be around to contradict it.
But why should these people, whoever they are, want to kill Emerson? And why do they want to kill me?
For the oldest and best reason in the world, my lad. You know too much.
Yeah, but I don't know anything worth being killed for.
That's what you think, not what you know. You say you're not an expert on the Somme, but from where I sit, you look uncommonly like one.
Oh, for God's sake, there's nothing classified about the Somme. It's history. Where did you get that piece of map you showed me?
From a Frenchman by the name of Edouard Olivier. A very good friend of mine.
He's a historian?
No. He's a sort of liaison officer between the French Prime Minister's office and the Police Nationale. I've worked with him 2 or 3 times in the past 10 years.
So, you are a policeman?
Good Lord, no. Neither is Ted Olivier.
But you just said...
Ted's been a good many things in his time. He was in the Resistance when he was 15. He was the only survivor of his group, too. The Gestapo killed all the others. But he's never been a proper policeman. Officially, he's a civil servant.
And unofficially?
He's a senior operative in the Service de Documentation Présidentielle.
Never heard of it.
I'm not surprised. It's the ultra-secret security agency. The great General set it up after the Martel scandal back in '62, when he found the Russians had penetrated everything else in sight.
It doesn't sound ultra-secret.
Because I know about it? Ah, but you see, it's my business to know about it. Just as it's Ted Olivier's to know about me. Which is why it's interesting that he should have sent me that bit of map and the name Charles Emerson.
What did he want you to do?
Find out if the map belonged to Emerson, and if so, what he'd done with it. Lost it, or given it away, or what?
Well, I can't tell you that. He certainly had a copy of that map, but then he had a hell of a lot of maps. What is it you want me to do?
Let's say I may have work for an expert on the Battle of the Somme.
Yeah, but I keep telling you I'm not an expert on the Somme.
Then let's say I also need an expert on Professor Charles Emerson.
You said work. You don't just mean information.
I said work, yes.
What sort of work?
Nothing too difficult, and you're well qualified for it, I should say.
Supposing I refuse?
Don't you want to see Emerson's murderers dealt with? And the gentleman who sent you for a swim this evening?
Yes, of course I do.
Of course you do. And I think you're being very sensible, because if I don't look after you, no one else will. And that would be a pity. The fact is, Paul, your country needs you. And the safest place for you just now happens to be in the front line.
It's almost 11:30.
Oh, don't worry, he'll be here on time. Jack's nothing if not punctual.
Is he really a soldier?
Jack Butler? Oh, yes, and a good one, too. We're not all frauds, you know. Mind you, that uniform of yours looks very convincing all the same. And there he is, right on time. We'll leave my car here and let him do the driving.
Audley, what the hell are you up to now?
Morning, Jack. Have you got those reports I wanted?
Reports be damned. What the hell have you done to Mitchell?
Mitchell? This is Captain Paul Lefevre of the 15th Royal Tank Regiment. Colonel?
Lefevre?
Spelt Lefebvre, but pronounced Lefevre. Necessity has once more been the mother of invention, and I have invented Captain Lefevre.
Why?
Why? Why do you think I arranged to meet you in this damned drafty lay-by? Because I like the open air?
Well, I assumed you'd tell me in your own good time.
And so I will. Or perhaps Captain Lefevre had better tell you. Go on, Paul.
That's Elthingham down there, Colonel.
So?
I saw Charles Emerson twice this week. Once on Tuesday, the day after he came back from France, and then yesterday. On Wednesday, he went to see someone in Elthingham.
Who?
I don't know, and I don't know why either, but I do know that he was excited about it.
Excited?
Well, I don't mean he was dancing up and down, but he said it was a pity he'd had to come back so soon. He'd got a lecture to give, because he'd stumbled on a very interesting thing.
Something in France?
Yes, but he said it did at least give him a chance to check it up at this end before he went back.
But he didn't tell you what it was?
No, I didn't ask him. I was more concerned with my own work. Anyway, if he'd been ready to tell me, he'd have done it without being asked.
So maybe it wasn't very interesting anymore.
If Charles Emerson said a thing was interesting, Colonel, then that's what it was.
And therefore still is. Well, Jack, are you satisfied?
Does he know the score?
He knows Emerson was killed.
And if you mean do I know someone wants to kill me too, I've already had a demonstration of that.
And you think a khaki uniform will put them off next time?
Oh, come on, Jack. They think he's dead. As far as we know, they've only seen him close up once, and that was in the dark.
Well, I hope for his sake you both know what you're doing. Whose bright idea was Lefevre?
Mine. It's his second name and his mother's maiden name, so he's not likely to forget it. Now, I suggest we get down to business. We've got an appointment in Elthingham with a Mr. Hutchinson, secretary of the local British Legion branch.
The man Emerson went to see?
Well, he may be, but I'd guess he's more likely to be the wrong generation.
Come on, then. We haven't got all day. You can bring me up to date as we go, Jack.
Olivier is officially on leave. He's not in his flat or his country cottage. His car's gone.
Have you tried the Somme area?
That's where the action is. Our men say there's a security alert in 4 northern departments. There's a rumor that there's a brigade mobile squad in Amiens. Oh, and one of our chaps spotted some old plain clothes friends of his from the Surveillance du Territoire killing time in Arras.
Really? But no Ted Olivier?
No. But Sir Frederick says you were right. There's something big happening.
But he doesn't know what?
He doesn't. And he'd like to know how you produced your early warning.
You can tell him my thumb's pricked. Has anything untoward happened over there, say, during the last week?
There was a car blown up in Amiens on Tuesday. Officially, it was an electrical fault leading to a fire and a petrol explosion. But the police were on the spot very quickly. Too quickly, you might say. So no one really knows for certain.
And on the home front?
The autopsy on Emerson confirms the cause of death as one sharp blow, probably karate chop.
A professional job, in fact. Unlike the fire.
That's right.
None of this has been made public, I hope.
No. Everything's screwed down tight for the time being.
It's a bloody disgrace, that's what it is. Oh, we know old George wasn't very spry, and it's true he was a bit deaf, and he'd been to the pub, but that doesn't make a bit of difference, because we've been on to the council time and time again about a speed limit on that stretch, so if the Legion can make a scandal of it, well, that's what it is, a scandal. To go through 2 world wars and then be knocked over like a stray dog by some bloody hit-and-run driver.
Mr. Hutchinson, I'm sorry, but I think we're at cross purposes.
What do you mean? You're not from county headquarters, then?
We are concerned with your veteran members, and I believe one of our representatives may have been to see you already, just a few days ago. Professor Charles Emerson.
Well, there was a man, earlier in the week.
A short man, with thick grey hair.
Aye, that's him.
Yes, that will be Professor Emerson.
Wanted to know if we had any members locally who'd been on the Somme.
Ah, and have you?
Well, there was Fred Foster who died last year. He was in the Rifles. And Eddie Turner and Les Collins, but they're both gone now. The only other one was old George Davis.
And Professor Emerson wanted to talk to Mr. Davis?
Yes, went to see him, I believe. He was our oldest member. Joined up September the 1st, 1914. Would have been August the 4th, he used to say, if the squire hadn't told him to wait a bit. That was Sir Henry Bellamy. George was a keeper on his estate. And so was Fred Foster. They joined up together in the Rifles.
And now he's been killed in a road accident, you say?
Aye.
When did it happen, Mr. Hutchinson?
Last night, sir. George always went for a drink about 9 o'clock of a weekday.
What about his next of kin? Was he married?
Widower, sir. His married daughter lives in Canada.
Who's looking after the funeral, then?
Oh, the Legion will, of course. Unless General Lee Woodhouse wants to come in. I'll be getting in touch with him this evening.
General Lee Woodhouse?
Our county president. He lives just over the hill at Wellingbourne. He was George's old company commander.
Jack won't be long.
Well, he better not be.
For General Lee Woodhouse's sake. Well, you could be right there, but we're only 10 minutes from Wellingbourne. And we owe it to Mr. Hutchinson to close his mouth tight, just in case someone gets ideas about him, too.
Is that what the Colonel's doing?
Applying the Official Secrets Act, yes. In a comradely way, Jack will have the right touch from Mr. Hutchinson.
The poachers.
I beg your pardon?
The poachers. That's the unit George Davis must have belonged to. I should have guessed it straight away. It has to be there.
Who were the poachers?
They were gamekeepers, Davis, and that other chap, Fred Foster. And the squire told them when to enlist. That clinches it, you see.
My dear Paul, I don't see anything. Why should the gamekeepers turn into poachers?
Because that was their nickname. The 28th... No, wait a minute. The 29th. The 29th Service Battalion of the Rifle Brigade. They called themselves the Gamekeepers Rifles, but everyone else called them the Poachers.
And they were all gamekeepers?
Well, not every single one. I believe they enlisted a few genuine poachers, too. You see, it wasn't like 1939, when everyone knew how horrible war was. In 1914, everyone wanted to be in it.
Ah, Jack. Mission accomplished?
Yes, he understands the situation now. I think we can rely on him. And now, the sooner we see the General, the better, I'd say.
Just a minute. Paul's trying to tell us something about the 1914 volunteers.
Ah, poor devils. My dad joined up then. 2/3 of the men in his street. The Blackburn Industrials, they call themselves.
The Blackburn Industrials. That's it exactly. They had so many volunteers that people tried to join up in groups with their friends. Glasgow City Tramways formed a battalion. Manchester clerks and warehousemen.
Yes, joined together and died together. After Birmingham Mill, half the wives in our street were widows. So, what's your point?
I know which unit George Davis was in, that's what.
The poachers. Ever heard of them, Jack?
I know, but don't you see, I know more than that. I know where they served on the Somme. I can even guess why Charles Emerson was so excited if it was the poachers he was after.
You can?
Well, it's one of the great feats of arms of the whole battle. How the poachers took Bully Wood and the Prussian redoubt. It's also one of the greatest mysteries.
All right, Jack. Paul, tell us about it as we go.
Well, it was at Hammer Ridge, September 1916.
Just hang on a minute. I'm looking for a map. Bully Wood, you said?
Yes, but it'll be marked Bouillet Wood, or Bois de Bouillet. Right, this is it. Now, you see where the ridge is, parallel to the British lines? Cemetery crossroads to the left, then Hammer Village in the centre, with the sunken road leading up to Bouillet Court Farm. Then some open country, then Bouillet Wood here. The soldiers call it Bully Wood. And then the Prussian redoubt on the tip of the spur.
And what about the mystery?
It was all part of the night attack on Hammer Village.
Night attack? I thought they only raided each other at night.
Well, strictly speaking, it was a dawn attack. The idea was for the assault brigades to form up during the night, when they couldn't be seen, and then go in just before first light. But before that, they needed to capture Bouillet Wood on the right flank, or at least keep the Germans busy there while the main attack went into the west.
And what about the Prussian redoubt?
That was on the very edge of the ridge, you see, just there, east of Bouillet Wood.
Yeah. And how did that figure in the attack?
Well, it didn't. It was too strong to be attacked, they reckoned. It was built into the ruins of the Chateau de Bouillet with ravines north and south. Cobra just behind the German front line, and the north one, Rattlesnake, was where their reserves used to mass.
And where did the poachers come into all this?
They were in the second wave of the Bouillet Wood attack, except for D Company. They went in first with the North Berks Fusiliers, but they overshot the mark somehow, and, well, no one really knows what happened to them.
Do you want to pick up your car now, Audley? We'll save time later on.
Yes, we better split up here, Jack. Paul and I'll take the general, and you get onto the department. Tell them about the old man, Davis. Get onto the police about that. Try the contract killers file. This has a contract smell about it. Then I want you to dig up anything there is on the poachers. 29th Battalion of the Rifles. Find out how many of them are still alive, where they live, and so on. And dig up the records on, what would it be under, Paul? The Bouillet Wood Prussian redoubt business.
The Battle of Hammer Ridge, September, October 1916. Oh, and there's some good air photographs of it in the Imperial War Museum.
Air photos. Now, there's a thought. Get him to hire a light aircraft, Jack. Tell him to fly over the Somme area and pick up anything interesting, but especially Hammer Ridge. Get it from all angles. Come on, Paul.
And the French?
What's it got to do with them?
And if Sir Frederick queries it?
You can tell him we've got one murder, one likely murder, and one attempted murder already. Remind him Ted Olivier's mixed up in it, and my thumbs are still pricking.
I suppose you know what you're doing.
Oh, I hope so, Jack, I hope so.
Well, I think you're stirring up a hornet's nest, getting involved in other people's problems.
Your shares don't seem to stand very high at the moment.
Jack doesn't like me very much. He disapproves of the Homo Audliensis in general. But he sees himself in some sense as my nursemaid, which in a way is what he is. So he gets uneasy when I'm out of his sight. The nursemaid may not love the little master. She doesn't let him reach through the bars and prod the lions and tigers if she can help it.
And the little master can't resist prodding lions?
Well, it'll wake him up a bit.
Are we going to prod a lion now?
General Lee Woodhouse? Oh, I hardly think so, Paul. Very old lion, ain't we? And on our side of the bars. No, it's the snakes in the grass we've got to watch out for. Well, the General certainly values his privacy. Good Lord, what a beauty.
What?
The house. Look at it. Early Tudor, practically untouched, too.
Yes.
And on the site of something very much older. See that dimpled line over there?
Mm-hmm.
That's the remains of a moat, for sure. The ground never lies, you know. You can't put a spade into it without leaving a mark. Mm. What's the matter, Paul? Are you surprised that I should be interested in old buildings?
A little. But it's not that. Look, Dr. Audley... David, I mean... What are we really doing here?
Doing? We're going to see General Lee Woodhouse. At least I hope we are.
Yeah, but why? How can what happened in 1916, what happened on Hammer Ridge, have anything to do with what's happening now? I mean, it's crazy.
No, I wouldn't say that. The past is always waiting to take revenge on the present. What about buried treasure, for instance? Now, there's our killer for you.
Well, there's no goddamn treasure buried on the Somme. Just 1 million dud shells and 500,000 dead soldiers.
Oh, I agree. But the past has a way of catching up on us. As a historian, you should know that.
Yeah, but Colonel Butler said French security was out in force. Well, that's got nothing to do with 1916. That's happening now.
I know it is. And I'm guessing Charles Emerson saw something or someone he shouldn't have done. But in a place which interested him for quite a different reason. A 1916 reason.
You mean he didn't know what he'd seen?
In 1916 terms, he knew. It excited him so much that he started digging around here in England at once and planned to go back to France as soon as he could. Which was why he had to die.
And you want me to spot the same thing?
Yes. Because whatever it is, it won't mean a thing to me, but it will to you. And I'm betting it'll excite you just as much.
And then what?
Well, that'll be the moment of truth, I hope. Because when you see what Emerson saw, I think I'll see what he missed.
Dr. Audley and Captain Lefevre. Come in, gentlemen. Come in. Take a pew.
Thank you, General.
First you must have a drink. Will you see to it, Captain?
Certainly, sir.
Excuse me if I don't join you, but I'm rationed to 1 glass a day. I do prefer to take that in the evening.
Thank you. Whiskey, please, Paul. Not too much.
Well, take regiment, Captain Lefevre?
What? Yes, sir.
Where stationed?
Germany, sir.
Leave or duty?
Duty. Special duty.
Special duty. What special duty brings you both to see me, of all people?
We're from the Ministry of Defence, General.
Oh, that lot. Good God. Well, I won't ask you what it's all about, because you'd only tell me a pack of lies. Now, what can I do for you, then?
Did you, by any chance, know Professor Charles Emerson?
Charles Emerson. Oh, yes. I was just reading about his death. Shocking business.
Yes. You knew him well?
Not well. No. He came to see me last year about a book he was writing, about the Somme. Now, I was wounded there, in Bouillet Wood.
But has he been to see you more recently? As recently as this week?
Well, no, he did try. Yes, you're quite right, but I've been away, staying with my granddaughter. I only got back last night. My housekeeper told me that he called and he said he was coming back, poor fellow. I was rather looking forward to it. He understood about the Great War, did Emerson.
When you saw him last year, General, did he ask you about anything in particular?
Nothing very startling. We talked about the Battle of Hamo. Mind you, there wasn't much I could tell him that he didn't know already. And about Bully Wood. That's what we call it, Bully Wood. The sniper there saved my life. Shot me here, in the shoulder. The bullet went clean through. Or what we used to call a nice blighty one. Sent me back to England.
And that saved you?
Oh, undoubtedly. Yes, I remember I was lying in a shell between the roots of a tree. Quite a lot of trees still standing then, and I could see first light through them, so I knew we were near the edge of the wood. We seem to have been in it for hours.
Actually, it's quite small, Bouillet Wood.
Oh, you know it then?
Yes, I was there 3 years ago. It's grown up again, and there's quite a large house in it now.
Well, you see, seems very large when you can't get out of it. I was convinced that I was dying, and I was there for good. In fact, I said to the chap who came up to take over from me, a friend of mine called Dickie Dyson, I said, they've done for me, Dickie. And then I said, watch out for the sniper, and crack. The moment he put his head up over the edge of the hole, the sniper got him, killed him straight off. Just like that. Crack.
And what happened then?
Well, I passed out as he tumbled back on top of me, poor chap. And the next thing I remember was coming to at the battalion aid post. But I heard afterwards that as Dickie fell back, he dropped his shotgun and...
His shotgun?
Yes, well, 1 or 2 of our chaps went into action with them. Harry Bellamy of D Company had a real beauty. Anyway, when Dickie dropped his, one of my acting corporals, George Davis, who was with us, he snatched it up and shot the German with it. It was only a few yards away, and Davis had seen the flash. But of course, I missed the really remarkable part of the whole show.
Your mystery story, Paul?
Yes. You see, some of the riflemen did get through to the eastern side of Bully Wood. They just pressed on towards the Prussian redoubt.
That's it.
When they got there, they found the garrison had been practically wiped out, and all the dugouts blown in. There were a handful of Germans left, and they fought to the last man, but the place was in British hands by 7:30. And, well, that's it.
That's it?
Well, as far as the poachers were concerned. But don't you see, they took the Prussian redoubt.
Yes, a great feat of arms, you said. I see that.
Yes, but they weren't meant to.
We weren't even meant to think of trying. In the unlikely event of getting through the wood, we were supposed to dig in at once on the edge.
Yes, I understand. But where's the mystery?
Well, perhaps mystery is a trifle strong, but the Germans did behave in a most extraordinary way. They made such a hash of it, and that wasn't like them.
Oh, no one's perfect all the time, General, not even the German army.
My dear fellow, they were the old German army, the old German field army, and they were damn good. Dug like moles, fought like tigers. But that morning it was different. They should have counterattacked us in the wood, but they didn't. They should have reinforced the redoubt as soon as we were in the wood, but they didn't. They shelled the redoubt themselves before we got there, knocked the blazes out of it. Bad enough to be shelled by the enemy, but to be shelled by your own side.
Yeah, hardly the first time that's happened, though, surely. How was it explained, Paul, officially?
Well, nobody really knows. The Hammer attack did pull most of the German reserves westward, it's true. And there was a garbled message sent back to their divisional HQ quite early on, about 6 a.m., that we were in the redoubt.
Well, which was poppycock, as I told Emerson last year. Can vouch for that of my own knowledge, because, see, I was right up front towards the end, and I wasn't hit till after 6. We weren't even out of Bullywood then.
General, is there anything you could have told Emerson now that you didn't tell him last year? Anything fresh that you've remembered?
Anything fresh? Oh, no, my dear chap, at my age, you don't remember things. You forget them.
And in any case, you couldn't have told him about the Prussian redoubt.
Well, no. If it's the Prussian redoubt you want to know about, then you should ask my old sergeant. At least he was my sergeant the next year at Ypres. He was an acting corporal then. The man who shot the sniper with Dickie Dyson's shotgun, George Davis, lives over at Elthingham. His memory's much better than mine.
George Davis. And, failing him, who else? Are there any other poachers still alive?
Yeah, 1 or 2. Not many of us left now, you know. But George Davis is your man. Besides, you can see him straight away, and you won't be able to talk to the others till the end of next week.
Oh, why's that?
Because they're over there at the moment. First week in October every year. 191st Division, Old Comrades Association, goes back to the battlefields.
Now, you understand what you're supposed to be doing, Mitchell?
Yes, I think so, Colonel.
You'll be met at Arras. Court's Coaches, the outfit that runs these Old Comrades trips, has been briefed to expect you. Then you'll have the rest of today and most of tomorrow on your own to have a look at the ground.
Especially Hammer Ridge.
Especially Hammer Ridge. But that's your affair. You know what you're looking for. At least, I suppose you do. And if anyone asks questions, you're waiting to meet a party of Somme veterans and act as conducting officer, all part of a public relations exercise.
What about you, Colonel, and Dr. Audley?
Oh, I shall be there. I'm flying to Brussels to join the tour somewhere around Ypres.
Oh.
As for Audley, he's the law unto himself. If he wants you, he'll make contact his own way. He enjoys playing hide and seek. Well, that's your flight. You better get going. Got everything?
Yes, thanks.
Off you go, then. Go, Mitchell.
Yes, Colonel.
Good luck.
Please
Thank you.
To gate number 6.
Captain Lefevre?
Oh. Yes.
I'm Nicole MacMahon, Captain, from the Minister of Tourism.
But I thought...
The manager of Court's Coaches asked me to convey his apologies. He's had to go to Amiens to deal with a breakdown.
I see.
In the meantime, I've been assigned as your interpreter. I understand that your party will not arrive here until tomorrow evening. So, if there is anything you wish to see before
No,
then...
that's very kind of you, mademoiselle, but I don't think I need trouble you, thank you.
I'm here to assist you, Captain. You are interested in the battlefields, no doubt. Your hotel room is booked and I have a car waiting. So, if you wish to go anywhere in particular...
Well, why not? We can see a piece of the ground before it gets dark. Surely MacMahon is a most unusual French name.
It is, in fact, an Irish name, Captain. My ancestors fled from Ireland to escape the persecution of the English.
Oh.
But I think you also have an unusual name for an Englishman.
Yes, we have something in common there, mademoiselle. My French Protestant ancestors fled from persecution too, but in the opposite direction. They fled to England to escape French persecution.
Oh, then perhaps that is a topic we had better avoid. My friends call me Nikki.
And my friends call me Paul.
So, where do you wish to go, Paul? I'm afraid I don't know very much about your battles.
Here you are, Nicky. A glory hole. Guaranteed untouched by human hand since 1916.
The glory hole?
It's an original piece of no man's land, but don't ask me why it's been left, because I don't know.
There's a sign saying for sale on it.
Ah, well, I don't think I'll make an offer.
With all the unexploded shells and grenades still in the ground there, it doesn't strike me as being a very desirable property.
Unexploded? You mean they could still go off?
Well, yes. You see, the shells that went deep are working their way to the surface all the time. Every ploughing helps to bring them up.
Even after more than 50 years?
Well, not so many now, maybe. But, well, you can work it out for yourself. We fired 250 million shells, well, give or take a few million. And so did the Germans. I say 10% were dud, and on the Somme it was more like 20%. Well, this whole area is planted with high explosive. If you come with me, I'll show you.
It's quite safe here. It's only the places that haven't been touched, or the newly ploughed places where you have to be careful. Come on.
Look, that's the Loch Nega crater. That's what 60,000 pounds of ammonal does when you explode it underground. You get a big hole.
A big hole?
When they first blew it on July the 1st, it was 100 feet deep and 450 feet across. The 10th Lincolns are in there somewhere. The Grimsby Chums Battalion. They started out in 1914 as a volunteer company raised by a grammar school headmaster from his old boys. And this is as far as they got.
How can you be so cold-blooded about it?
Cold-blooded?
Doesn't it mean anything to you? Don't you feel anything when you come here?
Well, what should I feel, Nicky?
The pity of it. No, it's not a fair question. Mort pour la patrie. That's how we justify it in France. Mort sur le champ d'honneur. 1 minute it's a field of cabbages, but with a machine gun you can turn it into a field of honor with a single burst.
Would you rather go straight back to Arras now?
Not if there's anywhere else you wish to visit.
Well, I thought we might take a look at Bouillet Wood.
Bouillet Wood?
Yes, it's the one place my old soldiers will want to see for sure. You asked me what I felt about this countryside.
Oh, that was... I do not know the word for it, but none of my business. Would you say presumptuous, maybe?
Well, there is an answer, but you won't understand it, I'm afraid. I feel nothing.
Nothing?
When I'm here, nothing. Before I came the first time, I thought I'd be choked up with emotion. But I wasn't. I was just surprised at how ordinary everything looked, how small it was. It wasn't until I got back to England. I went for a walk in the country near my home, and well, there it all was again, every bit of it. A little stream like the Ancre, with water meadows and willows, and a wooded hillside with a country house on the top, just like Tipvel or the old Bouillet Chateau. You could pick up the whole of the Somme and put it down in a dozen places in England and not know the difference. The only difference is that here, 500,000 men killed each other. We're just about on the German front line now. We turn right at the crossroads here. That's Bouillet Court Farm on the right, and there's the wood. Yeah, that's queer.
What is?
Well, look, there's a dirty great fence around it. That's all new.
It does not look welcoming. Whoever lives in the wood does not wish to receive visitors. That's very clear.
It can't be anything to do with old Armand Renier, that's for sure. We better see what the gatekeeper's got to say.
Monsieur?
I'm a friend of Monsieur Renier. I wish to see him.
Monsieur Renier no longer lives here.
What? Well, then who does? I wish to speak to the owner of the property.
It is private.
Yes, I can see that. I wish to go to the house and speak to the owner.
It is private, monsieur. There is no entry.
Well, who is the owner? This is crazy.
Paul, you get nothing out of him.
We'll see about that. Look, I am a British officer, and I wish to see the British War Cemetery, which is the property of the Imperial War Graves Commission. Will you kindly open the gate at once?
The war cemeteries are beside the village, monsieur.
No, I don't mean those cemeteries. I want to see the Prussian Redoubt Cemetery. I also wish to see Bouillet Wood.
I'm sorry, monsieur, the wood is private property. For the cemetery on the far side, you must return to the public highway and drive round. There is a path from the road.
Yeah, all right, but I should still like to have the name of the new owner. In Monsieur Regnier's time, visitors to the cemetery were always permitted to use this driveway. The name, if you please.
I regret it is not possible.
Not possible? What do you mean, not possible?
The wood is private. Entry is by invitation only. Au revoir, monsieur.
Oh.
No good?
Oh, I don't know what they're playing at. The man wouldn't even say who he's working for. Never mind why he wouldn't let us in.
So what do we do now?
There's something very odd going on in there. Well, I'm darn well going to have a closer look from the other side.
The other side?
Yes. Prussian Redoubt Cemetery is on the other side of the wood. That's what we came to see, and we can get to it from the road. And the Prussian Redoubt. Hey, look. I thought we might see some shells. Those must be from the latest ploughing. 2 British 18-pounders and a German 5.9.
Surely they won't just leave them there.
Oh, no, the army comes round from time to time, picks them up. They're not dangerous unless you take gross liberties with them.
All the same, I do not like them. Now let's see your cemetery, Paul, and then it will be time to go. Because it will be dark very soon, and I don't think I will like it here very much then.
No ghosts here, Nicky. The battle's over for these chaps. Nothing will stir in this place till the last trump.
Oh, look! Poppies! I thought it was in Flanders that all the poppies grew.
Well, they grow wherever the topsoil's disturbed. Maybe they're like chalk, I don't know.
It's very chalky here.
Here, look, we're right on top of the redoubt now. You see where those headstones have been laid flat over there?
Those are graves. I thought that was a pavement.
Oh, no, they were like all the rest once. They kept sinking, falling over.
Why's that?
Well, because of the German dugouts underneath. They're gradually falling in.
Underneath? You mean the dugouts are still there?
Oh, sure. The one here must be quite close to the surface, actually.
But didn't they fill them in after the war?
And during. But the Germans used to dig deep, 30 or 40 feet. More than that in some places. And we didn't have guns big enough to reach them. We never dug so deep ourselves because we didn't intend to stay here for the rest of the war. They became an army of defence, and we became an army of attack, which is why we won in the end.
It doesn't look like a victory monument to me. Where are the losers?
The losers are under the victors. Every dugout entrance on this whole ridge was blown in the moment we reached it. There are more Germans under Hammo Ridge. What the hell?
Oh, there. What is it, Paul? Was it a shell?
I'm not sure. I don't think it's that.
What's it then?
I'll go and have a look. You stay here.
Can you see anything, Paul?
Go back, Nicky.
What's the matter?
Oh, God. Nicky, go back. For Christ's sake, don't come down here.
Ah, come in, Paul. Sorry to drag you out so late, but I thought it was time we had a chat. Do sit down.
Thank you. I didn't know you were going to be an harass, David.
Oh, I always like to be where the action is. Now, have you managed to get a look at Bouillet Wood?
Only the outside. There's a double wire fence around it. No trespassers.
But I thought you knew the man who owned it.
Not anymore. Armand Renier sold up last year. I did manage to find that out. There's a new owner now.
Oh, who?
The man on the gate wouldn't say, and nor will anyone else I've asked.
Ah. There's something more, isn't there?
Yes. We've got another body.
Another?
He was spread all over Rattlesnake Ravine. I think I found the biggest piece of him. It was his foot.
What happened?
Well, the police said it was an accident. People do get blown up on the Somme now and then. But that's not the point. Wherever we go, there are accidents.
But you're only guessing in this case.
Well, I've only been guessing all along. Guessing that Charles Emerson saw something out here. But maybe he didn't see anything. Maybe someone told him something or showed him something. Someone who's just had an accident.
While on the way to see the next Englishman who came sniffing round Bouillet Wood. And meanwhile, the police are happy with their accident?
Oh, well, that was just for my benefit. They wanted me out of their hair. They don't like strangers on Hammer Ridge, alive or dead.
Yes. And the French aren't letting anyone overfly the area. Oh, by the way, I've got something for you here, Paul. A special present.
Present?
This book. Have a look at the pictures. They're rather good.
With the tanks at Cambrai, the war diary of Sergeant Frank Briggs.
Take a look at the pictures.
Hey, that's odd.
Well?
I don't understand.
Don't understand what?
This picture, there are two men here. I could swear I've seen them.
When?
Well, it's impossible, but I could swear I saw them this afternoon.
Which two? Show me. Is this the picture? In billets before the battle?
It's top left standing. He was the man on the gate at Bouillet Wood.
Corporal J. Manson? And the other one?
Bottom row, second from the right, Sergeant Ogilvy.
Ah. And where did you see Sergeant Ogilvy?
Well, in Rattlesnake Ravine this evening. While the police were talking to me, this man, his double, came over and listened. He didn't say anything. I thought he was some sort of official, a sort of Home Office type.
I see. Well, you've got a remarkable memory for faces.
Look, what's all this about?
I told you this was a special present. I had our photographic section put it together for you. They took out the original pictures and replaced them with some trick photography of their own. You are looking at an artificially assembled gallery of 9 members of the Service de Documentation Présidentielle. The 9 men we know, that is. Have a look over the page. You'll find another equally worthy group.
A divisional Christmas party in 1917?
That's the one. Someone in photographic has a warped sense of humor. Have you seen any of them?
No. No, I don't think so.
I'm relieved to hear it. They matter less, but it could be one of those chaps who put you in the river, my lad.
No, I've never seen any of them.
Oh, well, never mind. Keep the book with you. Anybody going through your belongings wouldn't give it a second glance. And if you spot a face you think you've seen, you let me know. Double quick.
How will I keep in touch with you?
Oh, that won't be any problem now. The wraps are off.
Well, you mean they know about us?
Certainly. And they want us to know they know. The SDP, that is. When Sergeant Ogilvy carefully showed you his face, he was serving notice to me that he wanted us to come out of the bushes.
Well, who is he then?
That, my dear Paul, is Ted Olivier.
Ah.
I wasn't absolutely sure he was in charge of this operation, but he was obviously expecting me.
Oh, God.
Don't look so sad, Paul. You've done splendidly. No one could have done better. And if you want a job with us when this is over, you've got it. You can finish your book, and you can have sabbaticals for other books. Don't answer me now, just think about it. Now, we make contact with Olivier.
How?
Just look at the last picture in that book of yours.
Blighty. Number 8 Military Hospital at Rouen.
Do you recognize anybody?
The nurse.
That's right. Your charming interpreter, Mademoiselle Nicole MacMahon. So that's the famous Butte de Valencourt, the tomb of a Gallic chieftain slain by Caesar. Am I right?
Oh, I don't know about Gallic chieftains, but there's a hell of a lot of Durham light infantry buried hereabouts.
Yes, and Germans and Dutch and Spaniards, I shouldn't wonder.
Yeah.
Dutch and Spaniards, Dr. Audley?
Yes, it's your frontier, mademoiselle. You've been fighting here for a long time, long before old Bismarck reinvented Germany. Yes, if blood makes the corn grow, it should stand shoulder high in these fields. We must be getting close to Hamo Ridge.
We're almost on it, but we're approaching from the German side, and the rise in the land isn't so obvious from the north.
Ah, then this would be the German line.
That's right. And there's the wood. Good Lord, the gates are open.
We're expected. Yes, a double fence. I take it there are dogs loose in no man's land at night? Or is it sown with nasty little mines, mademoiselle?
I'm afraid I haven't the least idea, Dr. Audley.
Dogs for choice, I'd guess. In fact, dogs for sure. Well, Paul, Bullywood's a strong point again, all right. Okay, stop the car here. Hello, Ted. Good to see you again.
David, always the early bird, eh? And Captain the Fever. Good morning to you.
Monsieur Olivier?
Shall we drive on to the house, David? I was on my way to meet you there.
If it's all the same to you, Ted, I'd prefer to stretch my legs a bit.
Oh, of course. Not enough exercise is a curse of our age. And our age particularly. All that raga playing muscle wishes to retire and turn itself into fat. It betrays us both.
Oh, you've got yourself a fine and private place here, Ted.
We like it, we like it.
Rare thing these days, privacy.
A jewel beyond price.
And now someone's trying to steal it.
What makes you think that?
Because there are too many damned bodies around, for one thing. We've got 3.
3?
The man you wanted us to see, Emerson, a young man called Mitchell, and an old soldier. 3 innocent men, Ted. Your privacy is getting too expensive for us.
Did you talk to Emerson?
Talk to him? Everyone we want to talk to has an accident before we can get to him. Well, you wanted me and you got me, but I want some answers.
Give me the questions.
This is a neutral house, right?
Right.
You've got a meeting here, and the security angle's going sour. Is that it?
We think something's up.
What's a neutral house?
Oh, it's really very simple, Paul. You have a summit meeting in public, with the television cameras and the press and all the rest of it. And everybody wants to know who won. One side's got to be seen to win or lose, and if neither does, it's just as bad. So, they set up the neutral houses. If two countries have a problem, they simply approach a third for the key to a neutral house. Somewhere nice and private where they can slip in and out with no questions asked, and top security guaranteed.
How long have you known?
That this was a neutral house? For sure, not till a moment ago. France is a popular country for these meetings. Now, this place is just right. Biggish house, screened from direct sight, off the beaten track, but not too isolated, close to the Paris motorway. And I've no doubt there's a helicopter pad tucked away in the wood somewhere. Made for the job, the whole setup. Okay?
Yes, I understand. More or less.
Good. Now, come on, Ted. Why did you call me in?
Because I can trust you, my friend. I know you will not go shooting your mouth off.
So what's the problem?
Well, a few days ago, one of our agents spotted someone he knew not far from here.
Someone I know?
Oh, I would think not. The man is a former pied noir known as Turco. But you would know the type. You have them in Ireland.
A hitman?
Yes.
Then you've got trouble. What did your agent do?
Well, it was in a village near Amiens. They were both in cars. Our man turned round and followed him, but Turco must have been on the lookout.
And someone's car got itself blown up.
The devil? How much do you really know?
Oh, unfortunately, just that. Whose car was it?
Turco's. He ran out of road on the edge of town. Our agent was approaching the car when it exploded. Another few meters, and he would have been caught by it himself. He was disconcerted.
I don't wonder.
He assumed Turco was still inside. By the time he learned otherwise, it was too late.
I see. Resourceful fellow, Turco. He caused a diversion to cover his escape, and reckoned on destroying whatever it was in the car he didn't have time to take with him. Right, Ted?
You still aren't being straight with me, are you, my friend? Just, how much do you know?
Only what you have told me, and I'm having to work damned hard for that.
Oh, come on, David. I didn't say there was anything in the car.
And you didn't say that I had to act stupid. Oh, for God's sake, man. You sent us a charred map of the Somme battlefield, and I give you one bottle of fine cognac to a pint of lukewarm beer. It had the name Charles Emerson on it, and you got it out of Turco's car. Now, if you just come clean for a moment, we could do business.
Business? What business has your country got in this?
I told you, 3 dead bodies, dead Englishmen killed in England. That makes it our business. Now, the map was left in the car. What else was there?
Does the name Charles Lancaster mean anything to you?
Charles Lancaster?
You're not a devotee of la chasse, are you, David? You know, poof, poof. 2 pheasants for the pot.
A shotgun?
Yes, but not any shotgun, the Rolls-Royce of shotguns. We took it to a gunsmith in Paris. It was only slightly damaged in the explosion, and still he almost wept. He said English guns were the finest in the world, and the Charles Lancaster was the best of the finest.
Did he know who it was made for?
He did not know, but it was one of a pair of guns made for one man. It had the initials HJB in silver on the stock, and it was numbered 2 on the top of the barrel flat.
And valuable, of course.
HJB.
Yes, Paul. Was it new?
No, it was not. The gunsmith dated it to the turn of the century, about 1903, he thought.
Practically a museum piece, then. Ted, when does this summit meeting of yours take place?
This weekend.
Cancel it. It doesn't matter who's coming. Get them to some other neutral house of yours.
And admit we cannot guarantee security in the heart of our own country? That we can spend tens of millions on the latest equipment, and one glimpse of one piece of scum throws us into a panic? No, David. If we did that just once, there would be no neutral houses anywhere.
So you ignore Turco?
Oh, no. The wasps buzz round the jump out, naturally. So we seal the lid tighter while we look for the wasp's nest.
We?
I might be prepared to let you help me look for it.
Oh, how very good of you. We find out why Charles Emerson had to die, and in return, you make sure his killers are paid in full.
Agreed. You and Captain Lefevre will report to me, and to me only, through Mademoiselle MacMahon. Trust nobody else, your side or mine.
Okay, Ted. You've got yourself a deal. Well, I don't reckon Vimy Ridge can have looked much like this in 1917, eh, Paul? Do you think your veterans recognize it?
No, I don't suppose so.
Interesting, though. I think I'll take a walk up to see the Canadian Memorial while we're here.
Right.
Would you like to come with me, mademoiselle?
Yes, certainly.
Very educational for you.
Colonel Butler? Over here, sir.
Yes, what is it? Better make it quick.
Look, I think we've got a lead. If you've got any poachers in the coach, I'd like to check it out with them.
What lead?
Some of the officers carried shotguns in the attack on Hamo Ridge. The French have got hold of one of them, I think. One that belonged to a particular officer.
Which one?
H.J. Bellamy, Second Lieutenant Harry Bellamy.
Bellamy? Someone mentioned that name recently.
Yes, at Elthingham. Sir Henry Bellamy. He was the squire. Now, this man was his son. He was in D Company. That's the company which went in with the North Berkshires in the first assault. The one that disappeared over the ridge and never came back.
Well, I can give you one man who reached Hamo Ridge. Captain Faversham. He was a subaltern in B Company. But he'll have known Bellamy right enough.
Did I know Harry Bellamy? For a brief time, just under 2 years, I knew him very well. Being in the same battalion's like being in the same family, if it's a good battalion.
And yours was a good one.
Oh, good, but not the best. We were rank amateurs, beginners.
But you captured the Prussian redoubt.
Accident, Colonel, mere accident. Hamo Ridge was a triumph of incompetent gallantry.
Well, that sounds a little harsh.
Oh, true, though. The North Berkshires and the poachers were supposed to cause a diversion to annoy the Germans, but they caught the North Berks in close order while it was still pitch dark and shelled the stuffing out of them, so we had to reinforce them with D Company before they even got started.
Ah, yes.
That was Harry Bellamy's company kept in a fever, and that was the last anyone saw of Harry, or of D Company, come to that.
What happened to them?
Oh, God knows. I guess they got on the wrong axis between the village and the wood and went on over the top slap into the German reserves. In the dark, no one knew what was happening. I never knew what was happening in broad daylight most of the time in those days.
Did you carry a shotgun in those days, Mr. Faversham?
Oh, so you know about that, do you? Yes, I did. Half a dozen of us subalterns did. I rather think it was Harry's idea. Everything Harry Bellamy had was the best. Savile Row uniforms, Zeiss field glasses, Charles Lancaster shotgun. He was worth a fortune on the hoof.
And you know he carried the Lancaster on the day he was killed?
How do you mean?
Well, you moved out at night, and he was in a different company.
Oh, I see. Well, as it happens, I packed up his kit afterwards. He'd had a pair of guns, of course, in a beautiful leather case with brass corners, I remember. One was still in it. Number 1. Number 2 was always his favorite. Made me sad to think some German had got it.
Paul, our time's nearly up. This time tomorrow, the summit meeting will have started.
Yes.
Why did you bring us here? What is so special about this little river Ancre?
Well, this is where Emerson came last week. He must have stumbled on some new piece of evidence about the battle and realized what it meant. I'm damned if I can see what it might have been.
But the poachers weren't here.
No, they weren't.
And it is the poachers who matter. The man with the gun, Sous-Lieutenant Bellamy, and the man with whom he disappeared.
D Company.
D Company, yes. Supposing they had taken the Prussian redoubt, would that not interest Professor Emerson?
Yes, but they didn't take it. The other companies took it. We know that. And they came through the wood to do it. As far as we know, Bellamy's men never even got to the wood.
But couldn't they have come round the back of it? Into the ravine?
No, it's not on, Nicky. There's too many Germans, too few English. Too few to attack the redoubt, anyway. And there isn't a shred of evidence.
But the gun, the Sous-Lieutenant's gun.
Oh, that's evidence of assault, but it's not what I mean. Look, just suppose Bellamy did all you say. Suppose D Company did attack the redoubt from the rear. No, it still doesn't help us.
But it would have interested Professor Emerson. And that's what you're looking for.
Yes, but I can see what Paul's driving at. It would have grabbed Emerson, but it wouldn't have mattered a damn to anybody else. You mean maybe we've been barking up the wrong tree, Paul?
I'm not sure. somehow I don't think we're wrong.
Nor do I. And nor did they, by God. Nobody kills the way they've been killing without a damn good reason. Whatever Emerson found out, it was dynamite. Could someone have offered him that Charles Lancaster? Offered to sell it to him?
Did he buy souvenirs?
Well, not unless they went with information. He'd have wanted to know where it came from.
Provenance.
Provenance? What's that?
It's the archaeologist's first question, mademoiselle. You show him an old coin or a potsherd, and he'll be able to tell you what it is because that's his business. But what he'll want to know is where you found it. That's its real value to him. And it'd be the same for Emerson. The gun would make him ask a question.
But we don't know who answered it.
Etienne Jarras. Damn it, why didn't I think of him before?
Etienne Jarras?
Yes, he lives at Vaux, just beyond the ridge. It's a garage run by two brothers. Emerson always bought his petrol there.
And they're interested in the war?
Well, Etienne is. And he's not just interested, he's got an incredible collection of stuff from the battlefield. He buys what he can get hold of.
So if anything turned up, it'd come to him?
Yes, the other brother's married, but Etienne's a confirmed bachelor. He spends half his time...
Come on, I think we'd better go and see for ourselves. How did it happen, Monsieur Jarras?
Who can say, monsieur? The road is lonely there, and it was very dark. There were no witnesses. The police think he may have swerved to avoid something, another vehicle perhaps, but they do not know. And even if they did, he would still be dead.
Your brother was attending a breakdown, you say?
Oh, yeah, on the other side of Tilleuil. Some imbecile from Paris had stole his car and couldn't start it again. Me, I would have let him stew, but Etienne, he was always a true Samaritan. He would go out no matter what. You say you were a friend of his, monsieur. I don't remember you, but Monsieur le Capitaine, I'm sure I've seen him before.
If you'd care to introduce yourself, mademoiselle, I think we should save time.
Police, Monsieur Jarras.
Oh.
And these gentlemen are from the British Ministry of Defense. You have further questions, Dr. Audley? Monsieur Jarras will answer them.
What happened to the imbecile from Paris?
Oh, the imbecile? Oh, he telephoned later to say he'd managed to start his car himself.
Telephone?
Yes, monsieur.
Yeah.
He telephoned both times.
I see. Now, your brother was a collector, I believe, of old war material, weapons and so on?
Oh, yeah, it was his hobby.
The museum's round the back.
Yes, it might be worth taking a look.
Ah, oui.
No, don't worry, Monsieur Jarras. We'll find our own way.
Well, this is it.
Good God Almighty.
And he was a bachelor. He's too Freudian for words, I think.
I don't know about Freudian, but it certainly wouldn't do back in England. They'd have this lot of him in no time. And he'd probably get 6 months for possession. Look at that Maxim gun. What a beauty.
But there is nothing here for us.
Paul?
Oh, the door was unlocked, the safe's open. I don't even know what I'm looking for.
And the age of miracles is long past. Yeah. I have the distinct impression that whoever's behind this business knows exactly what he's doing, which is more than we do. We're just picking up the pieces. Oh. They didn't come for the weapons anyway, that's for sure.
Oh, none of them can work. They're all rusted up.
What the deuce is this thing?
That?
Yeah.
It's a sawn-off Lee Enfield. Someone's taken 12 inches of barrel, 6 inches of butt. Used for trench raiding, probably.
Well, it's certainly in working order. It's as smooth as butter.
Yes, but he got that when I was here before. It came from...
Yes, Paul?
The age of miracles. It isn't past after all.
How much further have we got to walk?
Not far. Just a few more yards.
I can't see why we couldn't drive up to the door like Christians. There's nothing Ted can do about it now, except make the best of a bad job.
My orders were precise. In the event of your finding...
Precise nonsense. In the event of our doing his job for him? He reckoned that was likely,
He thought it was possible. You said you were good at puzzles.
Oh, not me, mademoiselle, not me. Paul was the smart one.
I was a bit slow, actually. I should have got it this morning.
Just in time is quick enough, my lad. No one expects better than that in our business. Where are we, for God's sake?
We've arrived. This is the barn of Bouillet-Court Farm.
Entrez. Vite! Vite!
David, Captain, we have been waiting for you.
Hell you have. And we've been tramping half across France in the pitch dark because of your crazy orders.
You said it was an emergency.
No emergency.
No? Then what?
No emergency, so long as you hold your summit somewhere else.
This is no time for little jokes, David. You have found something?
We surely have, Ted, but I think it ought to come from you, Paul. Go on, man, put him out of his misery. Tell him about the chalk and the cheese.
Yeah, this whole ridge is rotten with tunnels, like a piece of cheese.
Tunnels?
It's a chalk ridge, you see, perfect for tunnelling. Dry and clean and very little timbering needed. You see, galleries in chalk don't fall in. They'll still be there in 1,000 years.
And if there are galleries under Hammer Ridge, then the seismic equipment you've got plugged into the ground to listen for digging won't register a whisper, because the tunnels were there already.
If there are, you mean you don't know for sure?
Oh, for God's sake, Ted, everybody who could have told us has had his mouth shut. Paul, tell him how the poachers took the Prussian redoubt.
Right. They got into the German tunnels. They must have come round the north of the wood where the ravine starts. Well, that's where the entrances must have been. Well, just a handful of men in those tunnels could have caused chaos. There'd have been enough to block them anyway, and they'd have stopped the Germans getting their reserves up. That's why they started shelling their own people, maybe. They wouldn't have known what the hell was happening.
Captain, how do you know this? How can you know it?
Well, it was the shotgun. You said it was only slightly damaged in the car explosion.
Yes, that's right. But
so it must have been undamaged before. The weapons they dig up out here are usually rusted to hell, but there is one way a weapon can survive. If it's in a deep dugout or a tunnel. We saw one less than an hour ago, a British trench rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Etienne Jarras bought it from the foreman of a motorway construction gang, and he'd found it in a German dugout on the Hindenburg line. A deep one. It was as good as new. Jarras asked him if there was anything else down there, and the man said, "We can let you have a complete German if you like." Apparently there were 70 of the poor sods intact.
And that's how someone found Harry Bellamy under Hammer Ridge, armed with a Charles Lancaster shotgun marked HJB.
Yeah. And did you stole these from one weapon?
But it was a weapon which meant something to Emerson. And I wouldn't mind betting it wasn't the only thing he was shown. Identity, disc, personal belongings. Enough to tie the gun to its owner and make Emerson think of tunnels under Hammer Ridge.
But there is still no proof.
Proof? Man, are you crazy? You've got to call this meeting off. You haven't any choice.
No? No choice at all. Sorel, it is problem.
What's up?
Easy now.
Now, just a moment.
Just stand quite still, Captain.
What?
I never carry a gun, Ted. You know that. Neither does Lefebvre.
Oh, I know, but never is a big word. Now you, Captain. Good enough. Now, mademoiselle, your bag, if you please. What? Just the one little pistol, I think? Yes. So now we can all relax. No choice. I'm glad you said that, David, because I want you to know that what I must do now fills me with sorrow. Although I have no choice, I shall never cease to regret the necessity.
Never is a big word. But in this case, I think you may be right.
My poor David, you thought I had gone crazy, eh? You see, I didn't think anyone else could know what was on the Hammer Ridge, but I had to be certain.
And if anyone could find out, it was me, and you could rely on me to bring the answer straight back to you. There's a lesson for you, Paul. Never let anything make you behave predictably in this business. Least of all, friendship.
Friendship? Oh, say rather I knew you never could resist a problem, David. Especially one that didn't concern you.
Well, we all make mistakes. Even you.
Oui, c'est vrai. I have made 2 serious ones. It never occurred to me that Turco would explore the galleries and find something of value.
Turco?
Yes, mademoiselle, Turco was mine. It was Turco who offered the gun to Jarras, and the gold cigarette case, among other things. There was even a letter the young officer had written the day before he died. Unfortunately, Turco didn't understand what it all meant, only what it might be worth.
And Jarras offered it to Emerson?
He knew Emerson was here. He thought at least he would be interested.
But he was only interested in where the stuff came from.
He offered 1,000 francs for a mark on his map to show where it had been found.
Of course.
That was when Turco started to worry about what he'd done. So he took the map. He had enough wit to say he didn't know exactly where it had come from, but he would try and find out.
And your second mistake?
You found Captain Lefebvre, another military expert who knew Emerson well. Our information was that there was only one, the young man Mitchell.
Whom you had killed?
With regret, but in war, there are always casualties.
But whose war, Ted? Whose war?
France's. Of course.
Liar! Traitor!
You are a child.
Not a traitor.
A child in a very old and wicked world. You can be forgiven for not understanding.
It's a neutral house. We've given our word, a solemn undertaking. I understand that.
Save your breath, mademoiselle. This has nothing to do with France. France doesn't need to use characters like Turco. The late Turco, I presume? I imagine it was Turco who blew himself up so conveniently in Rattlesnake Ravine.
You were always good at guessing, David.
Oh, give me a start and I'll guess you right back to Moscow or Peking or wherever. Depending on who's meeting who in Bouillet Wood tomorrow. Ted, it won't work anymore, whatever you've got cooked up. Don't you see? There are too many things that can go wrong now.
Oh, no, David, I shall succeed. And with just a very little luck, I shall survive, too.
And what will you have gained? A bit more chaos in the world, is that what you want? Something we've both spent half our lives trying to prevent?
Exactly. Half our lives and a little more chaos. Only this time, perhaps, more than a little.
But why, for God's sake, why?
Because our way is wrong.
And their way is right?
Who is they? When we were young, it was us and them, but now we are all the same, all them, and all wrong. When I realized that, I knew I had spent my life trying to repair something not worth repairing. So I have stopped being a repairman. Now I'm in the business of demolition. Captain Lefevre, you have been so very clever. Would it interest you to know that you are standing not 2 meters from the entrance to my tunnel? On the floor in the corner, you will find a trapdoor. Go and see for yourself.
Thank you.
Looks promising, doesn't it? Then, open it. Go on, Captain. It's not too heavy, and there's a hook on the wall to hold it. A cellar. A large cellar, too. The Gestapo were pleased when they found the trapdoor back in 43. They knew there was a resistance group in this area. They even suspected its headquarters might be on Hammer Ridge. And yet they didn't find us, because they did exactly what you have done, Captain. They opened the trapdoor, and when they did that, they covered up the entrance to our hiding place. Close the trap now. Good. Now you will see. That board on the wall looks as if it's nailed down, but it isn't really. When old Jacques Billot came back to his farm in 1918, there wasn't one brick standing on another. Yes, that's the one. Pull it out, it's not firm. Billot and his son rebuilt the farm all by themselves. He came on this shaft when he was digging the foundations for the outer wall. He was a prudent man, old Billot. He remembered the past, and he didn't trust the future. So he decided to make a safe place for his money and his valuables and his family. One more, Captain. Et voilà. Old Billot's handiwork. He beat the Gestapo in 43, and he beat our experts just as easily in 75 when he checked out this place. I watched them do it. Nothing like a peasant for out-thinking the clever ones, eh? I was down there alone the last time with the Germans raided the farm. And that was when I found out where the tunnel went. I was looking for a way out, but I found something very different. I propose to show it to you. There now. You see? You will not find it too difficult. Don't get any ideas about jumping solo, Captain. Don't even talk to him. He won't understand what you say, and it will make him nervous.
I owe you an apology, Paul.
Ferme ta gueule!
And screw you, friend. And I must apologize to you also, mademoiselle. I've been unpardonably stupid.
C'est un fou.
Nevertheless, while there is life, there is hope.
Ça va, Soren, je suis prêt.
Patron!
You first, Captain Lefevre.
Allez. Allez!
Come on, Captain. No time to admire the scenery.
Oh.
Very good. Now I want you to stand to the left of the ladder. I have a stand gun, a gift from Britain 30 years ago, but none the worse for its age, I do assure you. Turn and face the wall, please. That's right. Mademoiselle MacMahon, come down now. Don't move, Captain. Good. And now you, David. Easy, David.
Easy, for God's sake. I can't even stand up straight. I can see why the Germans gave up these spiked helmets.
Against the wall with the others. That's good. You are all being sensible. Sorel, tu es prêt?
Oui, patron.
So, now we will go for a little walk. You first, Captain, then Mademoiselle, and you, David, last but not least. Now we go. I will set the pace, and when I say stop, you will stop immediately, Captain. One step too far and I will fall. Make no mistake about that. Do you understand?
I understand.
Stop. We take a little rest here. Just ahead, on your left, there is an opening, Captain. You will lead the way into it. It's only a short passage, 7 or 8 meters, and then a dead end. But there is a place to sit. Now, move.
I can't see a thing.
Feel your way along the wall.
Oh, I can't see. Ah!
What is it?
I don't know.
It's only a few old coats hanging on the wall, nothing to be afraid of. That's fine enough. Now, sit down. Sorry.
We've got to jump them. There's no alternative.
No, wait. There's something here.
What?
I don't know. Something hard.
Huh? Christ! What is it?
In these coats. A grenade, I think.
What?
Look. Cover me. Take his attention.
Monsieur Sorel, monsieur, excusez-moi, mais j'ai envie de pisser. J'ai envie de pisser, mais pas en face de mademoiselle. Asseyez-vous.
Sit down, David. You'll get us all shot.
Have you got it?
Yes.
Give it to me.
No, I'll do it.
Captain the Fever. Now we go on.
Paul,
You get down on the floor, Nicky. And you, David.
But get down.
Come on, Captain.
Now, pin out. All right, we're coming. 2, 3.
Attention!
Colonel Butler! I thought you'd gone back to England.
Well, couldn't you keep away, Mitchell? You're a glutton for punishment, I'll say that for you.
Now, what do you mean?
And your handiwork, man, your handiwork. All this tell me. But it's all sorted out this end. You needn't have come back.
I haven't come back. I'm supposed to be showing the poachers round the Prussian redoubt, remember?
So that's why Audley couldn't get through to you this morning. We wondered where you got to.
Where is Audley?
In Paris by now with the McMahon woman. There's the devil to pay down there, I can tell you. But I've got a message for you from him.
Message?
You killed 2 men last night. How certain were you that grenade would go off?
I didn't know. It all depended how careful the battalion bombing officer had been back in 1916. He was in a British waistcoat carrier, you see. If it was on the top line in 1916, if the base plug had been treated with Vaseline and so on, and remember it was absolutely dry in that tunnel.
You thought it would still work?
There was a fair chance, yes.
How do you feel about it now?
I don't know what you mean. How do I feel? There wasn't any choice.
Oh, there's always a choice. Not at the time, maybe, but afterwards, sometimes you...
There wouldn't have been any afterwards for us, for God's sake. If you mean, do I regret it?
Do you?
Why the hell should I?
No reason at all. You did what came naturally to you. But now you'd better get these old men off this hill and right away from here, double quick. They shouldn't be here at all.
Why not? They've got more right to be here than anyone alive.
Then if they want to stay that way, get them out of here. There's enough explosive under this ground to blow us all halfway back to England.
Explosive?
Yes. Well, you didn't get around to discovering what Olivier had in store for this afternoon's meeting, did you? 100 tons of ammonal, or whatever the Germans used in 1916. All packed in airtight tins and sandbagged in, ready to blow.
The French reckon it would have blown, too. Olivia thought so, anyway. His detonator was set for 6 p.m.
Yes, it would have blown all right. So, that's why the Germans held Bully Wood so lightly. And why they didn't counterattack. They must have planned to draw the attack into the wood and then blow it to Kingdom Come. Probably from some nice deep dugout in the Prussian redoubt. Only Harry Bellamy and his poachers spoilt the plan.
Well, you're the expert. It would have been the end of the summit conference anyway. And the wood, and all 3 of you.
Yes. You said you had a message for me.
Oh, yes. I gather Audley's already offered you a job, but he thinks last night's affair may have put you off. So, as of now, you've got a week to make up your mind. Then he'll be getting in touch. But I don't believe it has put you off. I think you've already decided, haven't you?
Decided? Yes. Yes, I think I have, Colonel.
Other Paths to Glory was adapted for radio by Alison Plowden from the novel by Anthony Price. Paul Mitchell was played by Martin Jarvis, Dr. Audley by Tony Britton, Colonel Butler by Ronald Baddeley, Nicky McMahon by Sylvie Datas, and Edouard Olivier by André Morin. Mrs. Mitchell, Lorna Roslin, Constable Bell and Marcel Jarras, David Graham, Mr. Hutchinson and Captain Faversham, Douglas Blackwell, General Lee Woodhouse, Geoffrey Siegel, and Sorel and the Gatekeeper, Steve Hodson. The play was produced and directed by Harry Catlin.